So today in the US is Memorial Day, or as I like to call it, Glorification of Unwilling Human Sacrifice Day. Now that description does not apply to all soldiers who died in combat. Some soldiers joined willingly, albeit with a lot of pro-military propaganda beforehand. And some soldiers did die in a legitimately just cause, like the Revolutionary War or World War II. But the vast majority of U.S. conflict, in fact I'd say all U.S. wars since World War II, have been unjust. All major wars, at least, have been unjust and a massive waste of human life. And so, first of all, to glorify being involved in this is bad because it's not a good conflict to be involved in. It's like saying, I put in a lot of effort, I made a lot of sacrifice to make people's day worse. It's not something to be proud of, even if you did put a lot into it. But furthermore, I think that the whole concept of Memorial Day, and glorifying people who died, is pretty immoral because a lot of the people who died were unwilling. A lot of them were conscripted, or conscripted directly, or as I like to put it, the poverty conscription. You know, they're given the choice between join the army or lead a life of not being able to get a good education without crippling debt. And so I can't really blame somebody for going to war, joining the military in order to get an education. So that's why I call the poverty conscription, because even if conscription doesn't technically exist anymore, it still definitely does. So a lot of these people, conscripted either directly or through poverty, are shipped out to foreign countries to fight unjust wars, which only cause destruction, both to them psychologically and also to the people in those countries. And in some cases, the American soldiers die. We should not be celebrating that. Putting somebody into a failed war, be it Vietnam or Iraq or anywhere else, having them die for a cause that they had nothing to do to create, and they just died because of it, that's evil. We should not be celebrating that. We should not be thanking them. Certainly we shouldn't be thanking the U.S. military for doing that. It's just plain wrong to glorify that. So, I don't mean any disrespect to veterans in this video, or to people who died in war. Again, as I've said, I see them more as victims than as, evil. Even though U.S. soldiers have done evil things, I think that's more about the system they were put into. But we shouldn't, celebrate people for losing their lives for an unjust cause, especially not when they were forced to lose their lives. Another thing about that, this year it's especially important because it's not just soldiers that are being involuntarily sacrificed. It's also medical workers and other essential workers. Because what we are seeing is we're seeing this rhetoric of doctors as heroes, and when a doctor dies due to COVID-19, then it's a heroic sacrifice. I think that Donald Trump even said, our doctors are jumping into death. It's such a pretty sight. I think I might be paraphrasing, but he did say something along those lines, and it's just sickening. Because most of the medical deaths due to COVID-19 are completely preventable. If we had just given our doctors better pay and better equipment, then they would not have to be dying en masse. Like, there are doctors in hospitals right now wearing garbage bags because we just haven't given them any better equipment. So, the message about this is that if you see people glorifying the deaths of soldiers or of doctors or anybody else, just think a bit before you do the same. Because there's a good chance that they were thrust into that position against their will, doing something that they may not even approve of, and which isn't actually improving the world. And I think it's actually a greater sign of respect to them that you don't celebrate their death. So, on that sad note, see you around.